Have you ever felt like something is watching your life in silence? Like every time you get close to a breakthrough, resistance shows up out of nowhere, not loud, not obvious, just enough to slow you down. This is not imagination, and you're not alone. In this video, we dive into powerful psalms that establish protection, trigger divine intervention, and shut down anything monitoring your progress. Stay with me until the end, because this message isn't just meant to be heard. It's meant to set you free. You are not just protected. You are being covered with intention. What once felt like random resistance now has boundaries. Lines have been drawn that cannot be crossed. There is a reason the pressure did not destroy you. There is a reason the attack did not finish the job. Protection was already active before you noticed the threat. There are words that do not fade. Words spoken under danger. Words carried through generations. Words that do not beg. They declare. They do not hope. They establish. When fear tried to get close, these words stood first. When confusion tried to settle in your mind, these words pushed it back. You are not surviving by luck. You are standing under a covering that works silently and relentlessly. Protection is not passive. It does not wait. It surrounds. It blocks paths that harm would have taken. It confuses what was sent to confuse you. It creates distance between you and what was meant to drain you. Even when you felt exposed, you were not uncovered. Even when you felt vulnerable, you were not unguarded. The shelter was there before the storm reached you. This is where strength returns to your chest. Not loud strength, not reckless confidence, quiet certainty, the kind that steadies your breath, the kind that makes fear lose its grip. Because once you understand that protection is active, panic has nowhere to sit. Anxiety has nothing to feed on. You stop reacting. You start standing. Opposition does not stop when protection appears. It weakens. It hesitates. It loses clarity. What once moved freely now stumbles. What once worked in shadows now feels pressure. Intervention has weight. It shifts the atmosphere. It interrupts patterns that ran unchecked for too long. You may not see it yet, but things have already started to move out of alignment for those forces that pressed against your life. This is where intervention begins to speak. Not with chaos, with precision. Delays that were designed to frustrate you start to collapse. Accusations formed against you lose their voice. Hands raised in secret fall tired. The pressure that tried to push you backward meets resistance it cannot overcome. Justice does not rush, but it does not miss. You are not required to fight everything you face. Some battles are not yours to swing at. Some resistance dissolves simply because authority has stepped in. This is not about revenge. It is about balance being restored. Order replacing interference. Truth standing where deception once operated comfortably. Your role is not to strain. Your role is to remain aligned. The moment you stop feeding fear with attention, its power shrinks. The moment you stop explaining yourself to unseen resistance, clarity returns. You are not powerless in this space. You are positioned, covered, supported by forces that do not sleep or lose focus. The urgency here is quiet but firm. Do not slip back into doubt. Do not retreat into old habits of fear. When protection is active, hesitation becomes the real threat. You are meant to move forward with awareness, not anxiety. With focus, not fear. What watches you cannot touch what it cannot access. And access is closing. Feel the shift happening inside you. That tightening in your chest loosening. That sense of being watched losing its edge. This is not imagination. This is authority asserting itself. Intervention doing its work. Protection sealing gaps you did not even know were there. Stay present, stay grounded, stay aligned. Because once protection is established and intervention is in motion, nothing that opposed you can remain hidden for long. What remains hidden survives only in silence. Once pressure is applied, secrecy weakens. What watched from a distance now feels the heat of exposure. Not because you chased it, but because truth has a way of turning on the light without asking permission. The atmosphere has changed. And anything that thrived in darkness feels it immediately. There is a moment when opposition realizes it has been seen. That moment creates panic. Movements become rushed. Strategies break down. What once felt organized turns sloppy. This is how hidden resistance collapses, not with noise, but with loss of control. You may notice it as sudden confusion around you, sudden cracks in systems that once held you back. This is not coincidence. This is pressure doing its work. You are stepping into a space where fear no longer leads. Awareness does. The energy around you shifts when you stop shrinking, when you stop explaining, when you stop asking for permission to move forward. Hidden interference feeds on hesitation. It weakens when certainty takes its place. And certainty is growing in you right now. Exposure does not require force. It requires presence. The moment you stand fully in who you are meant to be, anything monitoring your Ogress loses leverage. It cannot predict you anymore. It cannot read you the way it once did. And when observation fails, influence collapses. This is why momentum matters now. Stillness gives space for interference. Movement closes it. The urgency you feel is real, not fear-driven, purpose-driven. There is a window opening where clarity replaces confusion, where courage feels natural instead of forced. This is not the time to retreat into comfort. Comfort delays what is ready to break through. Forward motion seals what protection started. Alignment finishes what intervention began. Every step you take with intention weakens what stood against you. Every decision made without fear strengthens your position. This is not about proving anything. It is about claiming what was already assigned to you. Resistance tried to distract you because distraction is cheaper than direct confrontation. But distraction no longer works when your focus sharpens. Feel the weight shifting off your shoulders. That constant sense of pressure lifting. That low-level anxiety losing its grip. This is what happens when surveillance loses access, when monitoring spirits find no signal to follow. You are not being chased anymore. You are being released. And release brings responsibility, not burden. Responsibility to move differently, to speak differently, to think with clarity instead of caution. The old patterns cannot return if you do not feed them. Fear needs repetition to survive. Confidence needs only truth. There is something bigger working through this moment, something that does not rush but does not retreat. You are not standing alone at the edge of change. You are standing within it. Who choose now determines how clean the break will be. Half steps invite delay. Full steps shut doors completely. Do not underestimate how much power there is in resolve, not emotional resolve, settled resolve, the kind that does not announce itself, the kind that simply moves forward and lets resistance fall behind. That is the posture that cannot be monitored. That is the frequency interference cannot track. This is where alignment becomes action, where belief turns practical, where faith stops being a feeling and becomes a stance. You are allowed to move freely. You are allowed to succeed without guilt. You are allowed to rise without explanation. Nothing that watched your life can follow you into this next space. The door is closing. The noise is fading. The pressure is gone. What remains is clarity, strength, and direction. Step fully into it. Clarity settles in when resistance falls away. Not loud, not dramatic. It settles like certainty in the bones. You feel it when you wake up and the weight is lighter. You notice it when old fears try to speak and their voice sounds distant. This is not imagination. This is alignment locking into place. What once drained you no longer has access. Attention is power and you have taken it back. The moment you stop entertaining fear, fear starves. The moment you stop scanning for threats, threats lose relevance. Your inner posture has changed, and that shift echoes outward. Forces that relied on your doubt cannot function when your focus is steady. This is where movement becomes non-negotiable. Not rushed movement, decided movement. The kind that says you are done negotiating with hesitation. Delay had its season. That season is over. Every moment you stay aligned strengthens the barrier behind you. Every step forward seals the exit for what once followed. You are not meant to tiptoe into purpose. You are meant to walk with intent. Quiet confidence carries more authority than noise ever could. You do not need to announce your growth. Growth speaks for itself. What was monitoring your life depended on predictability. It depended on your patterns staying small. That control is gone now. There is power in consistency, in showing up the same way even when emotions fluctuate. Consistency builds momentum that nothing unseen can interrupt. This is how strong lives are built, not with bursts of emotion, but with steady alignment. When belief becomes habit, interference has nowhere to attach. You may feel the urge to look back, to check if something is still there. Resist it. Looking back reopens doors that are already closing. What is released does not need review. What is broken does not need explanation. Forward motion is the final authority. This moment asks for commitment, not to fear, not to comfort, commitment to clarity, to living without scanning the shadows, to trusting the covering that brought you this far. You did not come through pressure just to shrink afterward. You came through to expand, feel the strength returning to your decisions, the hesitation fading, the sense of direction sharpening. This is not hype, this is grounding. You are stepping into a rhythm that supports you instead of draining you, a rhythm where progress feels natural instead of forced. Nothing that opposed you can thrive in this space. Alignment changes the rules. What worked against confusion fails against clarity. Whoa. At thrived on fear collapses under resolve. You are not fighting anymore. You are walking free. Let this freedom shape how you speak, how you choose, how you respond. You do not owe anxiety a reaction. You do not owe fear an explanation. Your life is not open for monitoring. Your path is not up for debate. There is a higher order moving through this moment, one that restores balance without chaos, one that protects without panic. You are standing inside it now. The work is happening because you stayed present long enough to let it. Do not minimize this shift. Do not dismiss the peace settling in. Peace is not passive. Peace is a signal that things are in their rightful place, that opposition has lost its grip, that your steps are aligned. Stand firm in it. Walk forward with it. Build from it. What you carry now cannot be followed. What you've stepped into cannot be interrupted. The journey continues, but the pressure does not. You are clear, you are covered, and you are free to move. If this message spoke to you, don't ignore that feeling. It's a sign that something has shifted. Stay aligned. Stay focused. And don't go back to fear. What once watched your life no longer has access. Hold on to this truth. Walk forward with clarity. And remember, you are covered, protected, and free. If this video helped you feel protected and empowered, make sure to hit like and subscribe so you never miss messages like this. Share it with someone who needs to break free from fear and interference. Stay focused, stay aligned, and remember, you are covered, unstoppable, and your life is yours to claim.